Hello, everybody. My name is Leanne, and I am a member of the numerologist.com team. And I am extremely excited because in 5 minutes, I am being joined by or with the fabulous Kelly Fox. Kelly is a professional astrologer, and today her and I are going to be talking all things equinox. So if you're in the northern hemisphere, you're going to be experiencing the fall equinox. And if you're in the southern hemisphere, it's going to be the spring equinox for you. So in 5 minutes, Kelly is going to be joining me, and we're going to, I've got a wasp in here. I wonder what that means. If anybody knows, let me know in the comments below. Is there any significance to a wasp flying around? This is really exciting. And so I see we have a lot of people tuning in, and we've had a ton of people RSVP to this event. So please let me know where you are tuning in from. Are you experiencing the fall equinox or the spring equinox? And for all of you joining, here's a little sign I made just so you can have a quick peek. The live equinox event is starting now in 4 minutes, and Kelly will be joining me. I know over the last few months, I have been doing Facebook Lives with Kelly, and I'm learning a lot about astrology and how truly what goes on up in the sky impacts our lives down here on the earth each and every single day. And it has been like such a gift, and really I feel like a blessing to be able to learn so much from Kelly. And so today we have something extra special lined up for all of you. Kelly and I are going to be spending 1 hour, and we're going to go through and really talk about what is the equinox, why is this a significant part of our society and our culture, and then Kelly is going to be going and she's going to share information for each sun sign. So hello to those of you joining. Again, let me know where you're from, and also let me know if you have any questions regarding the equinox. And again, if you are in the northern hemisphere, then you're going to be experiencing fall equinox. And if you're in the southern hemisphere, then it's going to be the spring equinox for you. So this is really exciting. I see a ton of people tuning in, and I see some people sharing this event. So thank you so much for thank you. Thank you for being here. And it looks like we have a very international crew. I absolutely love this. And like I said, we're going to be getting started in 2 minutes at 1:30 Pacific time. Kelly Fox, internationally renowned professional astrologer, is going to be joining me. And we are going to talk about what the fall equinox, or what the equinox, it's fall equinox for me. I live in Canada, so I'm in the northern hemisphere. But we're going to talk about the significance of the equinox around the world. I've actually done a little bit of research, and I have some fun cultural things that I plan on sharing with you guys regarding the equinox and how different cultures celebrate this special time of year around the world. And then Kelly is going to share what this means for your sun sign. So also let me know what your, somebody let me know, thanks, what a wasp means. Thank you. I'm going to take note and take a closer look at that later. Wow. We have so many comments, so many people joining. Make sure you can actually share this comment, or you can share this Facebook Live with your friends and your family. You can share it on your page. The information that we're going to be reviewing is really relevant and applicable no matter where you live, no matter when you were born. There is going to be something for you. Now, the other exciting thing that I want to take a minute and talk about just before Kelly comes on and joins us is that today is September 22nd. Now, it's September 22nd if you're in the northern hemisphere. If you're in the southern hemisphere, it is the 23rd. So this fact is for northern hemisphere, or this interesting, just thing that I've noticed is applicable for the northern hemisphere. So as you know, this is numerologist.com, and we are really into numbers and all things number. And 2020 is a universal 4 year. 4 is all about building, it is about structures, it's about taking that practical action. Now, it just so happens that September is a 4 universal month. So we already have a 4 universal month in a 4 universal year, and 22, you guessed it, 2 plus 2 equals 4. Now, in numerology, we typically don't reduce 22 to 4 because 22 is a master number. But the mastery of 22 is building. And so what this means to me is that it is an incredible time to really reflect and tune in to what is important to you in your life, and what do you want to build, and what practical action steps do you want to take to build that dream for yourself. So more on that later, but right now it is 1:30. So I see that Kelli is waiting in our virtual studio, and I'm going to add her to this stream and we can get this Equinox party started. Woohoo!
Hello, everybody. Hi, Leanne. It's so great to be here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for joining me. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in and joining Kelli and I. I know, like, Kelli, there are so many comments. We have people joining us from all over the world. We have the Northern Hemisphere and the Southern Hemisphere. And I'm just really looking forward to our conversation today, where we can dive deeper and talk about what does this mean from an astrological perspective. And you are the professional here. And so I'm so excited to learn more from you, and really just to learn about how this impacts us, what this point in the year means, or this transitional cycle, because we have seasons, and just as we go through cycles as humans and individuals, the seasons, like there's just natural cycles that are happening all around us all the time. And I believe that the more we can understand them and actually attune to them, the easier things are going to be. And let's be honest, 2020, we could use things like, it would be nice if we could make things a little easier because it's been a full wild year.
Or even a lot easier.
Yeah.
So, the equinox is like a portal.
Mm-hmm.
If we think about it like that, that's a good way to manifest what we want at this time. So there's 4 major times according to astrologers, per year. And we have the equinox. Mm-hmm. And as you said, Leanne, in the Northern Hemisphere, it's the autumn equinox or the fall. And in the Southern Hemisphere, it's the spring equinox. Regardless of which hemisphere you're in, it's the equinox. And then the other 2 major points in time per year are the solstice. So we've got the winter and the summer. So in the Northern Hemisphere, it doesn't matter which hemisphere you're in, it's still all applicable. Everything I'm going to say is applicable. It doesn't matter where you are, what season you are, it's all good. So today is a very, very important day according to astrologers. And so what it means is that it's a time of celebration. It's a time where the seasons change. It's a time for change. And I mean, as you just said, Leanne, we are so ready for this. And so what I want to do today is talk not just about the equinox and what that means, but what can all of us expect, and I'm going to go through each of the 12 zodiac signs, and I'm going to talk about what we can expect from now until the next major turning point, which will be the solstice. And that occurs this year in December on the 21st. And I'm looking at my calendar because it does vary each day according to what year you're in. So it's always around the 20th, 21st of December that the Northern Hemisphere has the winter solstice. And of course, the Southern Hemisphere has the summer solstice. So with the equinox, what it means from a technical point of view is, we talked about this before, Leanne.
Yes. So what it means from a technical point of view is that so the Earth is tilted, and at this particular time, the Earth tilt is 0 degrees. So is it? Well, let me look at my notes. Am
Yes,
I getting
very good.
it
Thank you.
right? Okay, thank you.
Thank you so far. The Earth, just as you were saying, Leanne, the Earth has a tilt
Yes.
and it tilts 23 degrees. And I'm holding my hands up because here's a circle. If you imagine like a balloon, and it's not sitting, exactly like this, it tilts 23 degrees. So what it means with the equinox is the sun is directly overhead on the equator. So the equator is a round circle that goes through the middle of our globe. And so because the Earth's tilted, the sun, the very middle of the sun will be right on the equator and right through the middle.
Yeah, and so when it's right through, so yeah, so it goes, and this is good. This is my test to see how much I have learned. So the Earth typically has a tilt, and at this time of year, there's no tilt, and so the sun and the equator are equal. They're aligned, and there's 0 degrees tilt, completely straight. And the equator, or sorry, not the equators, the equinoxes also mark basically the middle point between the solstices. And the solstice is either it's the summer solstice, and that is the longest day of the year and where we have the most sunlight. And then there's the winter solstice, which is the shortest day of the year. And
Yes.
so with the equinox, we're more or less, because like I said, I was doing some research, and equinox comes from the Latin word aqui, which is equal, and then nox is night. And so it's equal day and night, although it's not quite equal. I think one of the resources I read today said there's about 12 hours and 8 minutes.
Yes.
So we're almost equal though. So
Yes.
it's equal day and night right now before it transitions into either more light or less light, daylight, depending on where you live.
And just to clarify, the tilt of the Earth is 23 degrees, and it always is. It doesn't change.
Got it.
So yes, so days are of equal night, equal daytime. So 12 hours of each. But yes, there's always a tiny little indifference there. But generally speaking, this is the day of equality. And this is why the day needs to be celebrated, if that is the only reason. Astrology aside, it's like this is the day of equality, equal days, equal nights. And I really love the rituals that go with the equinox, the solstice. And typically, in the Southern Hemisphere, it's spring. So you're celebrating a lot of things around spring, new beginnings. The buds are finally, flowering, and, we're typically clearing out things, the term spring cleaning. So with the autumn in the Northern Hemisphere, it's about the crops, and it's about harvesting, and it's about getting prepared for the winter, and, getting organized. So whichever hemisphere it is, the equinox always represents getting organized, like getting things together and, getting ready for what's to come. And that's a good thing. That I didn't want that to sound.
That's a very good thing. It's a good reminder.
Yeah, I didn't want that, yes, to sound like that meant something else. So it's like getting ready for things to come. And so that's what I want to talk about, what we can expect from now through the solstice in December.
Well, I just want to quickly add something. So I know that and again, this is a North American reference. I realize that, but I do know that other countries around the world celebrate. There's Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving is happening, it's in the fall in the Northern Hemisphere. And it really is a time to give thanks and to reap the rewards of, the harvest and the bounty and everything that grew in the summer. And summer really does represent that growth. And then I lived overseas. I lived in Malaysia, and a lot of different cultures, like the Chinese culture, there's harvest festivals, and they celebrate the harvest moon. And I remember these festivals, but I did not ever know that it was linked to the equinox. And so I've just found it really interesting to see how we do have all of these significant things that go on throughout societies all over the world. And it truly is related to astrology and what's going on in up there, like I say, and then how it impacts us down here.
Absolutely. And I'm reading the comments as well. Thank you, everyone, for the comments. I really, really love to hear what everyone's up to. And Tony says that she's gathering apples and green beans. Exactly. It's a time to gather. And so what we can expect during this season, because our astrology meaning tropical or Western astrology, is based from the seasons. So that's why this is a really exciting day for me as a professional astrologer. It really is a day of celebration, and it's like walking through a portal. The change of season is definitely walking through a portal. We're ready for new beginnings. And, these four cornerstones of the year and of astrology, and that's the two solstice and the two equinox, they coincide with the sun changing signs and the sun moving into the cardinal signs. And so the cardinal signs of the zodiac are Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. So it's no coincidence there that change of season marks the sun moving into a cardinal sign. Okay. And so it's very much about the energy of the cardinal signs is very much about new beginning. So new beginnings and new directions, and leading the way into new avenues, things that we haven't maybe experienced before, or not being afraid to try something new is really what it's about. And if anybody's a cardinal sign or has any planets in the cardinal signs, or anybody's lucky enough to know a cardinal sign, and that's Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, you'll know what I'm talking about. Those four signs are the leaders of the zodiac. And so with the change of the season coinciding with the sun, with this cardinal energy, it's very much a can-do energy. If you think about new moons, we have a new moon every month. And so that's the start of a new cycle. So this is another cycle, the equinox, the solstice, it's the start of a new cycle. It marks the turning of the season. And so that's what the beauty of astrology is all about. It's like cycles within cycles, and different cycles, and how they all connect. It's absolutely incredible to know. And what it's helped me with is to know that things do have certain points or markers in time. And so today with the equinox, that is one of those markers, when we can look back and we look, and there's also, Leanne, so many expressions that we use, like a turning of not just turning of the tides, but a change of season and things that mark those types of events.
Yeah, well, I know. So it's so interesting. And I love that you said the new moons, because if anyone tuned in last week when Kelli and I were talking, we were talking about the new moon in Virgo. And for me, I love new moons because it's just this clean blank slate. And it's just such a powerful reminder that there are cycles happening all around us. And I know this is definitely, I always look at these more significant astrological events as a time to reset and realign. I feel like I'm using retrograde language right now with all of the REs, but there really is something so powerful about being able to observe and sync up with the cycles of nature.
Yes, the cycles of nature.
And I think that we're like,
I love that.
We don't question nature. We don't question when it's like the leaves start to fall off the trees and when it goes into winter, and then when spring, everything starts to blossom. But as humans, we live in this fast-paced world, and we expect ourselves to just go, go, go all the time, without having the actual without honoring our natural rhythms that we all have as individuals. And so I know I've been learning a lot more from the natural cycles of
Yes.
the,
And I'm
the
glad you said that, you know,
yeah,
the natural cycles, and we are part of this earth and we're part of the cycles. And that's what this is all about, the
yeah,
natural cycles of our universe, of our world, our earth. And I'm
yeah.
just, again, I love reading the comments, and I'm reading Siren of the Void and also Lisa are asking, well, how do you use the equinox? Siren of the Void says, tapping into our confidence as cardinal signs. How will this equinox help with that? It's about not being afraid to take that step into in some ways the unknown. I mean, we've all been shoved in that direction this year, but now, you know, we can take control of certain situations where, with the change of the season, with that cardinal energy, we can take that step. We can embrace, you know, the new direction. Because the cardinal signs are definitely the trendsetters of the zodiac. You know, they're the ones that, are the trailblazers. They're not afraid to try something new. They're on the leading edge. So that's how we can all incorporate, you know, this equinox energy into our own lives, and the things perhaps that we're afraid to do, or that we've sort of been putting off, or what other, you know, life gets in the way. Everybody's busy. And so just looking at Lisa's comment there and hoping that that also helped to answer the question. You know, we've all got blocks in some ways. So this time can help heal those, because it's about embracing change, and not being afraid to not just instigate, but move in a new direction. And so that's what this whole season is all about, because, you know, there's a lot of planetary shifts. There always are. And, you know, this season, and what I mean specifically by this season is today through December 21st. So there's a lot of planetary shifts coming, and they look incredible. I'm really excited. I'm excited because we're going to be moving into eclipse season again, and the first eclipse will be the lunar eclipse in Gemini, and that is going to be on November 30th. And then really the big news is that we've got Jupiter and Saturn moving into Aquarius, and that's happening mid-December. So mid-December, it's all on. Everything sort of like gets wrapped up before we move into the next season of the solstice on December 21st. So really the big news of this season is that we have a lunar eclipse November 30th, then we've got a solar eclipse December 14th, and then we've got Jupiter and Saturn changing signs, moving into Aquarius that same week of the solar eclipse. So, mid-December, we've got Jupiter and Saturn, and I'll explain what all that means in a minute, but changing signs into Aquarius. So then we can all move forward into 2021 and the new season with all this new energy that's carrying us through. So it's very exciting.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. It's nice to hear that exciting things are on the horizon for us. I feel like we can all use that. And I'm just going to go through a couple of comments right now. One I want to share, and then Kelly, there's a question that I've picked out that I'd like you to answer. And so, first of all, High Priestess Angelique, she said, and again, I'm assuming she lives in the Northern Hemisphere, but she says, we are shedding our density just as the leaves change and fall back to the Earth Mother to transform. And I do think that there's,
beautiful.
It's just representative.
Love that.
This is cycles, and it doesn't mean it's the whole, what is it? Growth, harvest, death, and rebirth. Like this happens in nature. And so it happens within us as well. And I think this year, this cycle has been probably amped up quite a bit because of everything that we've been experiencing collectively. So just being gentle, like when I read that, I'm like, oh yeah, it's a process. And there's rebirth and transformation. Patricia shares that she's going to meditate before she goes to bed, and to try to tap into some of these energies. And so, I just encourage everyone to share what are some of the tips and different things you do to really harness this natural transition that we go through at this time of year, because the more we share with others, like your comment might spark a light of hope, or a positive, something positive for someone else. So continue sharing. Now, where the heck is that question? Oh, yes, this one really caught my attention. So Lynn Wilson asks, what does Mars retrograde, what effect does Mars retrograde have on the equinox energies? And so, Lynn, you must know quite a bit about what's going on, because Mars is in fact retrograde. For a while, I thought Mercury was the only planet that went retrograde, but that is not true. So we have Mars retrograde right now, and with that, it comes with this whole own, like, I'll let Kelly take over from here because she's the expert. But Kelly, what does this mean? And is there anything that we need to know about, Mars being retrograde when there's the equinox?
I apologize that I just burst out laughing there, because it was like, I think you just read my mind, because what I did, Leanne, I jumped straight to the end of the season. Instead of doing it in a chronological order, I just went straight to the big stuff at the end. But there's big stuff in the beginning. We are in the beginning, and thank you for the reminder about the Mars retrograde, which did flash through my mind. And so what it means with Mars is the planet of action, assertion. It's courageous, it's brave, it's fearless, it's competitive. On the flip side, and I'm talking flip side because it's retrograde right now, it can represent impatience and frustration and repressed anger and internalizing things. But really, anytime a planet is retrograde, it represents the past. So what that means is, with Mars currently being retrograde, and it did turn retrograde September 9th, and it will be retrograde all the way through mid-November. So what that means is, and especially if you're a cardinal sign, and that's Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, that there could be some level of impatience and frustration, because you want to start moving forward, you want to get things going. It is the equinox today, so it's like, this is the time to get the wheels moving on our new beginnings or our new directions with the change of season. So with Mars retrograde, that does slow things down. It does halt things. So because, with having Mars retrograde, and it's in its favorite sign of Aries, so there's a double whammy of, in some ways, frustration, because we want to move ahead. We want to charge ahead. I think of Mars in Aries as the soldier on the front lines, or the brave first responders right on the front lines there, full of courage, full of bravery, and of course has the utmost reverence. But that energy is being held back right now because of that Mars retrograde. So what that means is that on the equinox, it's telling us, or it's teaching us, that we can lay our plans, it's time to get things lined up. It doesn't mean it's necessarily a time to take action as it normally would be. More so because, as I said, Mars is the planet of action, but this is not so much a time for just sort of charging out there without a second thought. Now, the good news is, though, that Saturn and Pluto are about to turn direct. Now, they have been retrograde for the past few months. And if anybody's tuned in to our weekly events that we do here, Leanne, on a Thursday at 12 Pacific, then you've heard me say, well, I feel like I'm a broken record. I've been saying it like nearly every week, but the astrological theme of 2020 is the Saturn-Pluto conjunction. And that happened on January 13th. And so what that means is, Saturn is about structure and foundations and rules, restrictions, boundaries. And so that came together, or it was conjunct Pluto, planet of change and transformation. And actually, I have to add in there forced change and transformation and metamorphosis. Because with Pluto, it's not change that we willingly make. It's it's change that we're sort of shoved into. So when you get the two heavy hitters of our solar system, Saturn and Pluto, coming together conjunct in Capricorn, that laid the foundation of 2020. And so then they both turn retrograde, as the planets do, nearly half the time. The outer planets are retrograde. So, Saturn and Pluto have been retrograde since April and May. And now they're about to turn direct. And so it sort of gives me goosebumps when I say it, because it's really, really exciting for this season that here we have these two planets that have been wreaking havoc all year. And then the past few months have been retrograde. So the energy is internalized, or in some ways gone backwards. Now everything can start to move forward. I mean, Mars still will be retrograde until mid-November, but, with the heavy hitters, Saturn and Pluto, moving forward, it's sort of like things will now start to unfold. Now, the outer planets, they really do move very, very slow. So it's not going to be an overnight giant change. Things will come about. And, it's sort of like those energies where you look back in hindsight and think, how did I not notice that? It's like, it was so giant. How did I not notice that? But it's that type of thing where, the story will unfold and unfold. But what will supercharge or turbocharge that will be the eclipses, November 30th and then December 14th.
Yeah. So, and again, I'm just being reminded of the synchronicities between numerology and astrology, even though they are completely different systems and ways of, looking at cycles. We are in a 4 universal year. And when you said like structure and boundaries and rules, now when I first learned about the number 4, I kind of thought it was a bit boring. I'm like, well, this just kind of seems like, why am I interested in
famous last words?
Yeah, in structure and, rules and systems. And I've really grown to appreciate how each one of the, whether it's planets or these different planetary cycles that we go through, or the numerical cycles that we go through in numerology, they all do have these different energies that they bring forth. And when we can learn to align with those energies and tap into the positive aspects of them, that's when life can be, that's when we can just like, it can be more uplifting. And I want to say fun, but let's just say more easeful as well. So instead of going against the trend and trying to swim upstream, I know that I've been reading a lot of the comments and people are like, how can I harness this time of year? Well, one of the things that comes to mind is like, just surrender to what's present and what is, and look at like, how are we actually going against the natural cycle that's trying to, that's taking place right now, and how can we start to actually sync up with it and take advantage. And so this year, this is my cabinets in my office. They're the most organized they have ever been. I've been that for.
Nice.
And same with last week. I know we chatted and we were talking about the new moon in Virgo, and Virgo is known for being very organized and orderly. I was cleaning some kitchen cabinets last week. And so I think that sometimes we think that in order to experience these positive, huge transformations in our life, that we need to take these huge leaps of faith, or we need to do something radically different, when truly it can start with a small step or a small action. And so think about what small action steps. Sometimes maybe it's even like walking outside and deciding to take a different route or going a different way, or maybe to be in line with the 4, you spend a little more time planning which way you're actually going to go, or paying attention to the weather and doing something aligned with the weather. So anyways, that was just, I know that was a little bit of a side tangent, but when you started talking about Saturn and Pluto and the heavy hitters that have been the themes of this year, I can't help but see how what we talk about in numerology really lines up and supports everything you're saying.
Absolutely. And I'm reading the comments, and I was getting carried away with all the comments.
I know.
It's like I could sit here all day doing that. Leanne, would you mind giving the link to the newsletter? Because Mika is asking how to contact, and I think with the weekly Zoom events that I do might be beneficial for some people here.
There we go. And so thank you for reminding me, Kelly. Kelly does weekly live. So Kelly and I do a weekly Facebook Live every Thursday at noon Pacific time. So make sure you join us there. But then Kelly also does weekly private live Zoom calls for the people who are in her community. So go to astrology.tv/newsletters or astrology.tv/newsletter, being very specific. Virgo, like
using the Virgo new moon energy of last week.
I am totally. And so when you get on the newsletter, you'll receive updates and insider access to everything that Kelly is up to over at astrology.tv. So make sure you do that. And Kelly will do live astrology readings. So it's an incredible opportunity to connect with Kelly in the community and learn more about your specific charts as well. And Kelly and I were talking earlier today, and we might just be planning a couple of exciting things to come in the next, say month or two. So stay tuned. But I know I always say like, more Kelly. I want more Kelly, more Kelly. So
thank you, Leanne.
like I'm not the only one.
You guys. So Judy, you're an Aries. And so what I want to do is talk about Aries and what Aries can expect for this season and how to utilize this equinox energy. And then, Leanne, I want to go through each of the 12 signs. So Aries through Pisces.
Do it. We are, you're reading. And one other thing before you start, I know lots of people have been tuning in and they're like, oh no, I'm late. Don't worry. This is going to be live. You can watch this again on the Facebook page. You can share it. You can invite your friends to watch this. But so don't worry. It's going to be available for you to access and listen to on repeat. And with that, Kelly, let's hear what's in store for each sun sign.
Yes, for this season and how to make the most of the equinox. So if you're an Aries, so this energy, this equinox energy, yours is the opposite equinox. So what happens is today is the start of Libra. Sun moves into Libra. Libra is your opposite sign. So Aries, you're very familiar with this equinox energy. You're very familiar with leading us all into new directions and, supercharged with new beginnings. But your ruling planet is Mars, and Mars is retrograde in your sign right now. So I've been hearing of so many Aries, so many Rams who are really frustrated because you can't charge ahead as you fearlessly do at any other given time. So the good news is for you, Aries, that patience is not really a virtue of Aries or a characteristic, but patience will be required. And so what's going to happen is when Mars turns direct mid-November, then things will start to unfold slowly but surely, one baby foot at a time. And then before you know it, at the end of November, when we're into eclipse season, it's going to be incredible for you, Aries. And then mid-December, when we've got Jupiter and Saturn moving into a compatible sign, and then we've also got the solar eclipse in a fire sign, because Aries is a fire sign. It's like all systems go at the end of the year. But right now, you have to have patience and perseverance. And they're two key words that Aries sometimes does not have. Taurus for you. So this has been an interesting past couple of years for Taurus. And the reason being is because Uranus, planet of the unexpected, planet of shaking things up when we least expect it, had moved in May 2018. It moved into Taurus. So Taurus is a sign that's very stable and solid and steady and reliable. And, our rock of the Zodiac is Taurus. And so when you've got planet of the unexpected coming together with Taurus, those two energies don't go so well together. So Uranus in Taurus, it's going to be there for another few years, has been giving Taurus a big shake-up. So if you're born the first half of Taurus, you will be feeling the effects of Uranus in Taurus more so. But what it's doing is it's showing you, Taurus, and with this season, you know, that it's time to step out of your comfort zone. It's time to try something new. It's time to try something different. And in December, Taurus, you know, when Jupiter and Saturn both move into Aquarius, that may challenge you to really, if you haven't put your little baby toe outside of the line, then there's going to be, you know, December onwards will be a time where, you know what, Taurus, you tried something new and you actually liked it better than what you'd been doing. So if you have that mindset, it will be much easier to embrace the change that's required. And, you know, Taurus, you're a fixed sign. The fixed signs are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, and change can be difficult. Or if anybody has any planets in the fixed signs, you know what I'm talking about. Now, Gemini for you. So what's coming up this season is the lunar eclipse. This is going to be brand new lunar eclipses on your axis, meaning that the solar eclipses, the lunar eclipses as of 2020 are shifting from Cancer, Capricorn into Gemini, Sagittarius, where they'll be for the next couple of years. Now, this is a 19-year cycle. So Gemini, think back to 19 years ago. I know it's a strange number, but this is the number of the eclipses. It's like this time 19 years ago, think back to what was happening, Gemini, and then how what you did learn, what you didn't learn, what you would have done differently, and how you can apply that to your life now. Because the lunar eclipse on November 30th is in your sign. So that's a really big deal. And so what that means, Gemini, is this is the season, this is the time where things will come to a head. And it's like if you're born the first half of Gemini, this is more applicable to you. Now, then we've got a solar eclipse in mid-December, and that's going to be that solar eclipse for you, Gemini, falls in your love zone. So relationships will be highlighted at the end of the year for Gemini. And so what it tells us is that there are new beginnings when it comes to your relationships. And if you're single, fantastic. If you're in a relationship, this is about working through the issues or dealing with the stuff that you haven't dealt with your significant other. And it's getting ready to move into 2021, you know, fully aligned with your partner because you've been able to communicate and work through the issues that you might have had. So for you, Cancer the Crab, I have great news for you. This will be a time to rejoice because Cancer is one of the signs of the zodiac that really has been challenged and put to the test over and over and over again these past couple of years. And so the eclipses for the past couple of years has been in Cancer and the opposite sign of Capricorn. So Cancer and Capricorn, cardinal signs as well, have really been challenged. I mean, everybody has, some signs more than others. So for Cancer the Crab, you know, you think about the symbol of Cancer the Crab, it's this hard exterior of the crab and then this soft gooey mush on the inside. And if you're fortunate enough to know any Cancerians, you'll know what I'm talking about. They're all big gooey mush on the inside and then they're tough as nails on the outside. And, you know, that shell has been forced to get even harder these past couple of years with all the trials and tribulations that Cancer the Crab has been through. But the good news is that things are starting to settle down. You can actually find your groove and you can start to, you know, put one foot in front of the other, Cancer, as you do so well as a cardinal sign, as one of the leaders of the zodiac. So, you know, there is light at the end of the tunnel. You've been through so many tests. You've jumped through so many hoops, But I have to say, those tests that you've been through, you have passed with flying colors. And I know it doesn't feel like that right now, but it absolutely will, particularly when Mars comes out of its retrograde cycle in mid-November, because Mars retrograde really has been challenging for Cancer the Crab. But you will get through that, and you've gotten through so much more, absolutely. Now, Leo the lion. So Leo the lion, this is a good season for you. You know, right now you've got love planet Venus in your sign. So, you know, all eyes on you, and you just can't be gorgeous and glamorous enough for those around you. And then with Mars retrograde, it's not as bad as what it could be for you because it's in a fellow fire sign. So, you know, you still got your groove on, Leo. You know, you're still making stuff happen. And then with the bigger news of the season, you know, with the eclipses, with the lunar eclipse in Gemini and then the solar eclipse in Sag, that's, you know, November, December, that allows you to sort of step through that portal. I know you can feel it, you know, like there's something brewing and bubbling beneath the surface for Leo. And it's like you're getting ready to take that step over the threshold or through that doorway or whatever the metaphor is for you. Get ready for it, because when Jupiter and Saturn move into Aquarius in December, Jupiter will be there for a year with a bit of a reprieve in Pisces. But Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius triggers your love zone. And I love saying that, right? So it's like for you, Leo, if you're single, look out world. And if you're in an established relationship, then you just kick it up a notch with your significant other. I mean, you're just going to be completely on fire in a totally really good way. So yay. And then Virgo for you. So Virgo, your season just ended. At this equinox, you know, the sun just, as of this morning, early this morning, 6:31 a.m. Pacific, and of course, 9:31 a.m. Eastern time, that's when we had the exact solstice. And so with that, the sun moved from Virgo to Libra. And so you know, you can start to move forward now into you've had your birthday, Virgo, you've celebrated, well, in some ways, as best as we all can this year, but, you know, here's another year that's gone by, but a completely different and unexpected year. Now, Virgo, you do like to know what's ahead. You are a mutable sign, so you can be very flexible and adaptable. But at the same time, you're typically organized if you're not living in the shadow of Virgo, that is. But it's like organized, you like routine, you like to know what's what, that sort of thing. And this season, you know, if you've dotted your I's and crossed your T's, there's no issue there. Now, the thing, though, is with the eclipse season coming end of November, December, it's going to be all about communication for you, Virgo, and particularly in your career. So it's like, you know, what you say, your words have meaning. Your words hold power. And so that really, I'm sure that will resonate with a lot of Virgos because, you know, Mercury is your ruling planet, and Mercury is planet of the mind and communication. And Mercury will be turning retrograde for the final time of 2020, and that's mid-October. And so what that means is it's going to be turning retrograde in Scorpio. And so Virgo, for you, it's about getting to the bottom of something. The truth will be revealed. And it looks like that's coming about when Mercury turns direct early November, and then Mars turns direct mid-November. And then bang, at the end of November, we've got the lunar eclipse, which highlights communication for you, Virgo. So in other words, get everything lined up. This is not the time to take action. Mars is still retrograde. This is the time to have things lined up and have things ready. So, you know, when the new year comes, you'll be all ready to go, the new you.
And so I have a quick question, well, a couple of questions. And so first of all, there's a part of me, I'm like, oh, Virgo, it's good. It's like your words have power. And again, I know I'm not a Virgo. I do have some Virgo in my chart, but I think that I always learn and get tips from what's relevant for the other signs too. I'm like, oh yeah, my words have power also. And so remember to speak what I want and not focus and speak what I don't want. But my question is here, Kelly, is one of our viewers, May Can, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but she asks, is the sun reading also applicable to anyone who has moon who has lunar ascendant or the ascendant
Absolutely.
in that sign?
So ascendant or rising sign, yes. Moon, if you want to read it, like if you know your moon sign and you want to listen to that as well, it's all about emotions when it comes to the moon. So emotions and feelings is definitely, yes, you can apply what I'm saying for each sun sign to the moon sign and rising sign. Yes. Thank you for asking that too.
And I feel happy Leos here. So, and what you said, I'm like, oh yeah, the Leo ladies in my life are going to love that season. So again, share this with your friends. And yes, you can rewatch this. I've seen that question quite a few times. So this is going to be saved and available on the numerologist.com Facebook page.
Libra, lovely, lovely Libra. Libra, you are one of those signs. You're a cardinal sign. Oh, and by the way, happy birthday, Libra, for the next few weeks, because the sun has just moved into Libra. But you are one of those signs, cardinal sign, the others being Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn. You have been tested over and over and over again. You are still being tested because Mars retrograde is in your opposite sign, which means for you, Libra, this season kicked off with other people maybe presenting as impatient or angry or upset or frustrated in some ways. And Libra, you're such a people pleaser. You're such a gorgeous hostess or host, and you really take care of other people. And so this is the time where you can bend over backwards all you want, but you're not going to please everybody all of the time. And that's something to really keep in mind for this season. Now, the good news is that, you know, with eclipse season coming and Jupiter and Saturn moving into a fellow air sign, it's like I'm even feeling it in my body when I say it to you, Libra. Like I feel a giant sense of relief. You know, you see my shoulders just went like that after the year that we've all had. You know, for you, Libra, December really does mark a turning point. So it really is about, you know, again, what I just said to Virgo, your words hold meaning. They do anyway for all signs at all, you know, all the time. But Libra, for you, that will hold true in December, but in a really great way. It's sort of like what you say, you know, the kind words that you use, the kindness and the compassion that you've shown will really pay off in spades for you. And, you know, you've been very patient and you've persevered, you know, through good times and not so good times. And so, you know, the rewards will come for you, Libra, absolutely. Scorpio. So Scorpio. The good news is that, you know, your modern day ruler, your main ruler, Pluto, will be turning direct early October. So if you remember what I said just before, that, you know, the astrological theme of 2020 is the Saturn-Pluto conjunction. Now that happened January 13th. So that's been the foundation of the whole year. So for you, Pluto, you're wrapped up with that because Pluto is your ruling planet. And so what that means is that now that Pluto will be turning direct, you know, we're currently in the stationary direct period of Pluto. Pluto being the planet of change and transformation. So it's very much about get ready for change, Scorpio, and get ready for change in a good way. And, you know, sometimes for you, Scorpio, you sometimes have to hit the bottom before you can get to the top. So just keep that in mind. And, you know, you can't really enjoy the good times until you know what the bad times are. and only a Scorpio will understand what I'm saying, or really get the depth of what I'm trying to say here. So for you, Scorpio, it's like your ruling planet's moving forward. Mars is your co-ruler or your ancient ruler. It's retrograde, so there's always something, it feels like, this year. But just know, when it's your birthday month, your birthday season, you'll start to have that feeling. You'll start to notice and know that things really are slowly moving forward. Now, Pluto being your ruling planet, things take time. You know that. You already know that. You're a fixed sign, so you're patient in many ways, not in every way, but Scorpio, has patience. The other fixed signs being Taurus, Leo, and Aquarius. Sagittarius. Now for you, Sagittarius, big changes coming. The solar eclipse mid-December is in your sign. And, back in June, we just had an eclipse in your sign as well. So we're just moving into the next couple of years of eclipses being on the Gemini-Sagittarius axis. So what that means is big changes. I mean, outside of 2020, of course, but it's like for you, Sagittarius, you're the philosopher of the zodiac. You're the seeker, you're the truth seeker, and you're the philosopher, the explorer of the zodiac. You're also the teacher and the preacher. So for you, Sag, what this means is that, from the experiences that we've all had this year, it's being able to look at your life from a different perspective, or a much broader perspective. This year has certainly expanded all of our horizons in so many different ways. And I don't mean that, of course, literally. I mean that from a metaphorical point of view. So for you, Sagittarius, your ruling planet is Jupiter, and that's the planet of hope and optimism. And so that just changed direction. That just started moving forward a couple of weeks ago. So you're on a roll here. Like you're gaining momentum, and things are building and building and building. And then with the eclipse in your sign in Sagittarius, December 14th, it's all about huge new beginnings for you. And with Jupiter and Saturn moving into a compatible sign, it's like all systems go. Now, Sag, you're not really a sign known for patience, but that's what's being asked of you at this time, especially with Mars retrograde. Now, Capricorn for you. Now, Capricorn, you have been tested over and over and over again. You have risen to every challenge that has been thrown at you. I know it doesn't feel like that sometimes. You've got Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto all in your sign right now. And if you're born towards the end of Capricorn, you really are being tested. But just know, your symbol is the sea goat. So for you, Capricorn, it's like you start at the very bottom of the ocean, and, throughout your life, you've climbed your way to the very top of the mountain. As long as you've always got goals and ambitions that you're working towards, nothing will throw you back down to the bottom of the ocean ever again. It's like you've been there, you've done that, and you're going to put one foot in front of the other, and you're just going to keep on going, as you have proven to the people and to the rest of us. It's like you have proven yourself over and over again, and once you set your mind on something, there is absolutely no stopping you, no matter what. So for you Capricorn, no more eclipses in your sign. That's all behind you. So the tests are behind you, and it's time to move forward. There are some little things here and there, little hiccups this season with Mars retrograde, but nothing you can't handle. Aquarius, for you. So you are one of those zodiac signs. You have two planetary rulers. Your modern day ruler is Uranus, and then your ancient ruler is Saturn. Now, there's a dichotomy right there, because you've got Uranus and Saturn. Saturn is about the conservative approach, the tried and true, and Uranus is about the unusual, the different, anything futuristic, and you bring those two things together, those two planetary energies, and that explains Aquarius. So it's like this dichotomy of, tried and true versus, where are we going in the future? But for you, Aquarius, the huge, huge news for you this season is that Jupiter and Saturn are moving into your sign in December. This is gigantic news. So what that means is that we've all got these new beginnings. We're all turning a corner. It doesn't feel like that, I know, but we are. And your planetary ruler, your co-ruler, your ancient ruler Saturn will be in your sign. This is fantastic news for you, Aquarius. It's like, yes, there'll be a lot of responsibility that's coming, and you might feel that already, but it's like step up, step up. Because if you're not stepping up and embracing that change and that responsibility, then it might feel too overwhelming. But here's the good news. Jupiter, planet of luck and good fortune, is also moving into Aquarius mid-December. So that gives you the oomph and the boost that you need to really embrace that extra added responsibility that you're going to have. And so this is really good news for you. The eclipse season, the eclipses are in compatible signs. So it's great for your intellect. It's great for thinking outside the box, which only you do so well, Aquarius, the genius of the zodiac. Finally, we've got Pisces. And sweet, sweet Pisces. So Pisces, for you, what's coming up is with eclipse season, it is going to, like I said to Virgo, for you, Pisces, it's important about what you say and how you say it, because words hold meaning for you. And you might also find that during the Mercury retrograde, particularly in October, that part of the Mercury retrograde for you, Pisces, you might find that communication from the past, meaning something that you said or something that was said to you by someone else in the past, will come up, meaning, as I said, words hold meaning, but for you, it's like dealing with something that was said from the past. So that will come up, and it might take you by surprise, but nothing you can't handle. But it's like, again, what you say is going to be really, really important, as particularly late November through December. And so the other thing for you, Pisces, is you are the psychic of the zodiac. Pisces is the intuitive, the psychic of the zodiac. And you might find this season, you're starting, now that Saturn and Pluto will be turning direct very soon in the next few weeks, they won't be retrograde any longer. And so mid-October on, Pisces, you might notice that your intuitive abilities really, really ramp up. And then December, when Jupiter and Saturn move into Aquarius, Pisces, for you, it's like, your intuitive, psychic instincts just get an incredible boost. It's like your mind reading. But what it is, the universe is directing and guiding you. It's sort of like, you show up somewhere and here are all these opportunities and everything that you could have ever hoped for. So the manifestation powers that are building this season, getting ready for next season, are really through the roof for you, Pisces. Nothing yet, because I have to keep harping on it. Mars is retrograde. So it's like we can't really dive in, not just yet. We're all sort of like chomping at the bit, ready to go, but we're not quite there yet.
Oh, right. Wow. There's a lot there. And I know I'm a Pisces. And so it's interesting that I picked up on the Virgo. I'm like, be careful, words matter. And then you said that was important for the Pisces as well. Thank you so much, Kelly. That was so informative. And I've been really busy reading all of the, reading all of the comments, and it definitely seems like what you said resonated with each of the signs. And if you're usually, this is the time in our chats where we end our conversation, but today I've picked out a question that stood out to me, and I'm wondering if
Sure.
you
Yeah,
want to answer a
sure.
couple
Of
questions,
course, love
Kelly. What do
to.
you think? Good. Let's go for it. I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot, and you might not, but I know that yeah, you're just full of information and wisdom. So here's an open call. If anybody has a question that does not involve reading your chart and going into the specifics, leave it in the comments, and I will see. I'll see if it's applicable to share with Kelly. And so, Kelly, the first question that really stood out to me. Let me
Can I
just
just
see
say,
here.
sorry, Mark, Mars turns direct November 13th. I just saw Mark there and had to answer that.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. So November 13th.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Cheryl Kennedy, she said, what positive changes are to come for the global situation with the equinox? And so I know when I read that, a couple of things came to mind to me, but what do what from an astrological perspective, what changes do come, like really global changes come at a time, at the time of the equinox?
There are astrologers that study current events, and so they call that mundane astrology. So mundane astrology is that when astrologers look at current events of what's happening and how it affects us collectively. So that's really how astrologers that specialize in that area of astrology really read the astrology of the time, of the season, and then how it affects us collectively is very much about, looking at the trends and looking at the changes. Because sometimes, like we're in our everyday lives, and a lot of us have been struggling a lot, in 2020, just making ends meet or just dealing with our health or whatever else. And so it's like, it's very much about, marks a turning point. We can really stop today, the day of equality, and we can really look at our achievements, from the past season, and then look and see where we want to go for next season and how to utilize these, very intense planetary energies. But, looking forward, the biggest message I think for this season is communication. It's everything, because of the lunar eclipse in Gemini on November 30th. That's really one of the biggest events of this season.
Thank you. Thank you for answering that, Kelly. And I know one of the things that came to mind when I read that is, and this could be the Pisces, the humanist Pisces in me, but if everyone on this webcast today, if you take the time to tune in and actually, revisit your intentions, realign, and do your part in showing up, being the best version of you, these little things make a difference, and there are positive ripple effects. And so I know that's not astrological, but I do think that it's important for all of us to be responsible. Now I see that some people are asking about November 30th and December 14th, and we've got the eclipses. I almost think, like, Kelly, I'll let you decide if you want to talk about that, but I definitely know we will be talking about that in the weeks to come. And Kelly and I go quite in depth about each one of the specific lunar or astrological events that goes on. You are muted, Kelly, or all of a sudden I can't hear you. It doesn't show that you're muted.
Sorry.
Oh, there we go. There.
I don't know how that happened. I saw Cameron Johnson's comment. Thank you for, do you think the effects of social media distract our energies as a society? Yes, the media and social media for this eclipse, the lunar eclipse in Gemini on November 30th, the media and social media and communication are going to be very, very much highlighted. Absolutely. So sorry, Leanne, I was reading that comment. I was like, oh, I have to answer that.
I'm glad. And I get when, as you're going through, it's very easy to get sucked into the comments. Again, people who are tuning in right now, this is going to be saved on the Numerologist Facebook page. And so definitely check this out. What we talked about today was the equinox and this is the day of balance, and what this, how, just sort of how this happens. And it's one of the natural cycles that goes on. And then Kelly reviewed what this point in time in this season, really it's a transition, and what this means for each of the sun signs. So you can definitely tune in and you can watch this again. And she starts at Aries and she works her way all through Pisces. I know before I started learning more about astrology, I always assumed that the sun signs, like the very first sun sign, was January 1st, because that's what the new year is where I've been raised. But then I've realized, well, there's all different cultures have their own different new years. And astrologically speaking, Aries is the first sun sign.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now let me just see. Is there anything else that's standing out?
Somebody just asked before, what are the rituals that you can do? It really is a personal thing, whatever that means for you. But what I like to do is candle. I like to light a candle. It sets an intention, like light a candle and say what I want to manifest for the season out loud. And it just takes a couple of minutes, and that's all there is to it. So I really love to do that. It really, it just helps mark, it's a ceremony of sorts. So it helps to mark, moving in to a new phase or moving through a new cycle, and celebrating, where we've come from. It has been such a challenging year and we've made it this far. So,
well, Kelly, I'm glad you mentioned that, because and that's almost a really great segue, but there is one more question that I want to ask, and then I'll segue into the final component of this live equinox special event today. I'm going to be leading you through, and all of the viewers, I'm going to be leading you through an equinox exercise. And so this is a ritual. And it's funny, I was looking, I'm like, should we do a candle ritual? And so I definitely was pondering a few different things. So it's interesting that you do a candle ritual, Kelly, but we're going to move into that part very soon. But in the meantime, there is one more question. I see that this question has been asked a couple of times. Where did it go? Where did it go? Okay. How does this shift affect our businesses that we want to start? And so I know when I'm reading that, I'm like, oh, but Mars is retrograde. It's a good time for planning, not necessarily the right time to just dive right into action. But in some cases, maybe this is the time when people are moving into action. And so how does the equinox and business, what do you have to say about the equinox and business?
Usually I would say the change of the season with the equinox or the solstice, whichever it may be, fantastic for new beginnings. But because of the Mars retrograde, that's really holding things up. And not only that, the end of September and first half of October, there could be some frustrations if you try and go against, what these planetary energies are about. Mars retrograde will be forming some very challenging square aspects to Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto. So, the powers that be or the red tape may hold things up. And so that just adds to the impatience and frustration of the Mars retrograde energy. So just be mindful is my advice. And I'm looking here, it's last week of September through the new moon, October 16th. So basically, even though Saturn and Pluto will be direct, this Mars retrograde, throws some shade at Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto. Now, Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto are actually much stronger than just Mars retrograde by itself, because those three planets have band together. But there will be some angst in some ways. So with regards to starting a business or, moving ahead, then it's a great time to do it, new cycles, new seasons. But because of this Mars retrograde forming this challenging square aspect to Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto. It's not really an ideal time. And then, of course, we've got the Mercury retrograde on top of it. So, yeah, and the thing with astrology is there's always going to be something going on. You know, we don't live in a perfect world. We're not perfect people, you know, so it's like there's always something. And it's like life is a gift. And it's up to us how we choose to use, you know, the gifts and blessings that we've been given. Some of us, of course, have more challenges than others, but, you know, it's time to, as you said, Leanne, it's time to sort of plan and get ready for the new, which is better served towards the end of the year.
Yeah, I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Kelly. And thank you. Like this, I just love doing this with you. It's always so enlightening. And I just continue to learn more and more about everything that exists around us and how this really impacts our day-to-day life and how we can use this energy and the natural cycles to really just make our lives better. So thank you for joining.
Thank you, Leanne. And I'm just laughing because I'm looking at Lynn's comment, Lynn Wilson, life is a gift and there are no refunds. I might use that. I like that in my work. Absolutely.
Yes. That's great. And then again, everyone, make sure you get on Kelly's newsletter list, astrology.tv/newsletters. You can register there and she will keep you updated on all things astrology, including the live events that she hosts on a regular basis. And Kelly and I do Facebook Lives weekly every Thursday at noon Pacific. We go live and we talk about the current astrological trends. So make sure that you join us. And like I said, we do have some fun things that we are planning for the future. So we're definitely in planning mode. We're moving forward and really doing what Mars retrograde wants us to do.
Thanks, Leanne, and thanks, everybody. Wishing you all the very best.
Yes, it was wonderful. And now, so Kelly is, let me just see here. So now this brings us to the very end of, well, not the very end, but the last segment. Just 1 second here. I'm going to hide this. And so what I'm going to be doing for the next, let's say 20 minutes or so is I'm going to guide you through. I'm just going to put the comments back on. It's nice to see the comments. Every Thursday is when Kelly and I go live together, Thursday at noon. And so we've just learned about the equinox. And again, if you're in the northern hemisphere, you're moving into the fall equinox. If you're in the southern hemisphere, you are moving into the spring equinox. And this is a day of balance. And this is a specific time of year where we really do start to transition into the next season, into the next cycle. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to lead all of you through, and I'm going to do it myself, an exercise right now, an equinox exercise. So I've had a ton of ideas of different things that I've wanted to do. And I know Kelly brought up the candle ritual and someone did actually ask, what color of candle should I do? So as I'm leading you through this exercise, I will definitely speak to the different colors of candles. But for right now, what I want you to do is grab a notebook, grab a pen. If you're like me and you like using Sharpies or, you know, colored crayons or pencils or pens, go grab a few things because we are going to transition and we're going to go through this. So I'm just going to put on some music and I'm going to give you guys a minute to go grab some water, take a quick break if you need. And when you come back, we're going to dive into this. So I'm going to put on some music really quick. You can use this as our transition time as we transition from, you know, all the wisdom and information that Kelly just shared with us. So here we go. Let me know if you can hear this. We're just going to put this on. Okay. Okay. Yes, this video is going to be saved. All right. And so, do you know what? Hopefully, you are back. I know that wasn't quite a minute, but let's just dive in. And so, let me know if you can hear the music. Is it distracting? Okay, so what song? So this is a royalty-free song. Interesting. It sounds like the music is maybe not coming through as good as it can. So I'm just going to turn that music off and let's get started. So again, this is moving as we move seasons. This is a really, really great opportunity to actually take a minute and to think back over this past season. And so this is the time to reflect. So everyone, let me know. And you don't need to share, but if you do choose to share, but definitely let's all grab our journals and our pen and let's review. Let's review this past season. And so again, maybe you're in the northern hemisphere and you're just moving from summer into fall, or maybe you're in the southern hemisphere and you're moving from winter into spring. But just let's spend a few minutes and reflect about the last few months. So I want you to reflect about what went well for you. And I know that this has been a challenging year. There have been so many curveballs and so many unexpected things happening, basically every which way we turn. But amongst all of the change and the surprises, there are always the positive things as well. And so let's just spend a minute and let's reflect. So I want you to reflect on all of it. What were some of the challenges? What were some of the positive things in your life? And what did you do to rise up and overcome those challenges? You can also think about what were some of the highlights of your summer or the highlights of your winter. And so I'm just going to take a minute and I'm going to just spend some time reflecting as well. And as you reflect, you can also share here, please. And so I see that Mark said plenty of personal space. And so I know I've had a lot more personal space as well since the world has been going through what it is. And with that has come a lot of positive things. We see that Jamie got married. Congratulations, Jamie. And so really reflect. What have the last few months brought to you and brought into your life? And reflect on how some of the challenges may have brought you. What are some of the challenges that have occurred in your life? And are you ready? Have you overcome them? What have you been doing? Or are you ready to overcome them now? Because this is a turning point. The time out, yeah. So it looks like, and do you know what? It's interesting. I see some trends here. It seems like there has been almost a global time out. Our pace has become a lot slower, I'd say, as a society. And obviously there's challenges to this. And but there's also the positive benefits as well as slowing down, getting in tune with what's true for you, what's true for yourself. Reconnected, okay, it's more, people have done more soul searching, reconnecting with family. And so again, so right now we are doing an equinox exercise, and this is we're starting off with step 1, and step 1 is revisiting and just really reflecting on the past season. And reflecting again, we don't need things to be positive or negative, but sometimes there are the really exciting things, there are the challenging things. And so just reflect. What has your life been like? And what are you really grateful for? Okay, awesome. So we see people have moved, people have planted gardens, studying to become a caregiver. People have kept their jobs. That's something to be very grateful for. Someone says, I'm trying to remain sovereign. And I do think that sometimes it's when we have more alone time, it is easy to reconnect with who we are and what's important for us. And then there's the challenges. Like Lisa, more drinking and eating, being at home. I mean, there's a joke called the COVID-15 because people have been, maybe you're less active and some of your old habits, or maybe there are new habits forming. And so really taking note of what's working for you right now in your life and what isn't working for you right now in your life. Alrighty. New granddaughter, self-love. All right, so there's been a lot of, thank you for sharing, everyone. So that was step one, reflect. Now let me just pull up the next step that I have prepared here for you guys. Okay, so we reflected. So now I want you to celebrate your wins. And I know that this might be very similar to reflecting if you reflected on the positive. But I also think that it's really important for us to always take the opportunity to celebrate our wins. And again, wins don't need to be these huge things. Sometimes the most significant changes we make in our life are the small wins. They are those little things that we do on a daily basis. So right now, I want you to take a minute and really think about all of the wins. So what did you create? Or what has grown in your life? What have you nurtured? What have you accomplished? Maybe it's actually something specific that you won at. And so I want you to take a minute and give yourself a pat on the back and celebrate. Sometimes maybe it's like, I got through a really challenging time. It was a rough few months, but I am here. I am alive. I am tuned in, and I am surrounded by people I love. I also want you to think of what gains have you made over the past few months in your life. Or to me, so one of the first things that came to mind is one of the things I've gained is actually letting go of clutter. And so cleaning up and getting organized. To me, that's a personal win. That's a gain. That's something I gain more organization. I gain more closet space or cupboard space. So it doesn't need to be these big things that we sometimes think they have to be. Ooh, I see released 30 pounds. I love the language there. People I see have done a lot of psyche cleanup, letting go of trauma. This is really, really powerful stuff. People are grateful for every day, becoming a better version of myself. Let's see, completely surrendered to the energy of the universe. I have nurtured total self-acceptance and love, and from this have gained personal freedom. Ooh, Mark, tomatoes. Do you know what? This was the first season the first year I've ever planted a garden, and it was a lot of fun. I consider that a win for sure. Oh, Gina says she's gained self-motivation and self-worth. So thank you everyone for sharing. This is, it's really incredible to see all of this. And then the last question I have for this step is, or the last prompt is to really think about what experiences over the past season have made your heart sing. And so I really want you to take a couple minutes and think back to what's really made you happy. What's made you feel energized? What's made you feel reinvigorated? When have you felt the most like yourself? I think that it's really important we have wins, and then it's also, really tuning in and thinking back like, oh, hey, when I went for dinner with this group of friends, or when I was talking to this person on the phone, or having Zoom calls with this person, or maybe it's a certain activity that you do that makes you feel very much the most like yourself and the most energized and invigorated. So I want you to really just spend a minute and think, what experiences have you had that have made your heart sing in the past few months? Because that's what we want more of. Ultimately, we want to do more things that are aligned with who we are as individuals, and more things that light us up from the inside. And the more we can do, the more we can actually just presence and recognize what makes us feel really good and energized and excited. then the more we can do of that. And then we get into a really positive cycle. So let me just read the comments here. Yay. Yeah, there's a lot of really, really great positive things. And I see people staying connected with people on Skype, being around my children and grandkids, dancing more every day, seeing a break in an old pattern. These are all really great things. All right, so moving on. So we've reflected and then we have celebrated our wins. So now what I want you to do is I want you to take a minute to identify the lessons. And so with the reflections, there have been the positives and there's been, the challenges. And then we really focused on the wins. So now I want you to identify the lessons that you have learned over the past few months, over this past season that we have just gone through. And so take a minute and, think about what lessons have been shown to you. Maybe it was today or this week, this month, or this season. And let's be honest, we can even talk about, the lessons that we've all learned this year. Because again, this is a transformational time. We're moving into, almost the last, we'll say the last quarter of the season is right around, or the last quarter of the year is right around the corner. And so the more we can be in tune with, what really lights us up and actually identifying the lessons that have crossed our path, the more we're able to take action. And the more we're able to take action and actually harness everything that Kelli has shared with us throughout. So if you're just tuning in now, we are going through an equinox exercise, and this equinox exercise was prompted from the incredible live conversation that I had with astrologer Kelly Fox today. This video is going to be saved on the numerologist.com Facebook page, so you can go back and you can learn what the equinox has in store for your sun sign and the sun sign of your loved ones. So going back to step number 3, identify your lessons. What insights did you learn about yourself in these lessons? And what were some of your lessons? And what are some of the things what would you like to share? Surrender. I see that somebody said, when I raise my vibration, everything around me seems easier and more magical. That's a very insightful lesson. Another lesson learned: to move with the energy of the universe and sharing positive energy and flow with people. Negative people are drifting away. So those two are actually really similar. It seems that as you become, as you center and ground in to a higher vibration or a more positive place within yourself, your external reality starts to reflect that as well. Let's see, what else do we have here? A lesson: I can always create a new life and reality with more love, more joy, and more abundance. I see Bonnie: lessons of letting go of old beliefs that no longer serve me in a positive way. That I can establish my own beliefs that are valid for me based on my life in the current world. And I love that you put current world, Bonnie. I think that it's really easy for us to hold on to what's worked for us in the past, but there is something really powerful to be said for recognizing what's working for us right now in the present moment and what's aligned and what's going to work for us as we move into the future. So, here's another one too. Let me see, I lost it. Go with the flow. So that's good. I learned that I am free, that I can be brave and focused, helping others and learning so much about our amazing universe. Let me see. We have someone here that's realized I'm pretty disconnected with myself. And so sometimes the lessons we have and the realizations we have aren't always this like, woohoo, super positive thing, but it can lead us. It takes us to the next best step, and it takes us where we need to go next. And so again, doing this ritual and this equinox exercise is really going to help you reconnect and recenter with yourself And the more you're able to do this, the easier it is to take the next best step for you in your life right now and today. All right, so let's move on. So moving on to step 4. Step 4 is about releasing. And so I want you to consider everything that you've reflected upon so far. And I want you to identify and think about, what are you willing to release? Now, release can be a really tricky thing for a lot of people. It can be hard to let go of things, and it can be hard to let go of things even when they're not aligned for us or they're not in our best interest. And I think that a lot of times it's difficult to let go of really what we know. And the unknown, even if the unknown is so much better and more aligned and brighter, it's scarier because we don't know what to expect. And so we choose to stay in the known, which sometimes isn't actually what's best for us. And so right now, step 4 of our equinox ritual, or our equinox exercise, I want you to think about and identify, what are you ready to release and what are you willing to release? So what thoughts, behaviors, and beliefs are you ready to leave behind right here and right now? And what habits and routines are keeping you stuck in unhealthy patterns? Because those might be, those might be the first things that you really want to release and let go of. Are there any people or thoughts or unhealthy habits that are draining your energy? What relationships are no longer serving you? And what outmoded parts of yourself are you ready to let go? Again, a lot of times we do things out of habit. We do things because it's just we're on autopilot. We don't even identify or connect with the thoughts and the beliefs that are actually running through our minds and impacting and controlling our life on a day-to-day basis. And so this is a really great opportunity to take a minute and identify, what are you willing to release? Yes, this is good. So toxic things and people, yes, let's remove more toxic things and toxic people from our lives. I see that someone says realizing some friends really aren't aligned, and it's always difficult. It is difficult. And, I feel you on that one. And I think that it's always there. It's like we can be ready and willing to release, knowing that we've got to call in the new things. We have to release and let go of the old or what's here right now, so that we actually have room to call in and welcome that which we want to create and the things that are waiting for us. Let's see, letting go of old patterns and behavior. Yes, I will depend less and less on people currently providing my physiological needs. All right. I see Mark says, dare I say, some social media needs releasing, but not this. Thank you, Mark. And then Sasha says, letting go of a belief that no longer serves her. Bonnie, I've been giving some things away that I was holding on to. And giving things away can definitely, there's certain items in our life that can trigger memories of a time that might not actually be serving us. And so being able to let go. Letting go of, language around health. Yes. What are some of the beliefs and thoughts? And language is really important. Like Kelly had mentioned earlier when we were talking about the equinox and what this means for each sun sign. What we say is really important, and it truly does impact us. And for the Pisces and the Virgos out there listening right now, your language is really important, and it's going to be key for you to watch what comes out of your mouth in this next season we're moving into. Let's see. And so Maria says, Kelly said Aries have to be patient. I'm ready. I'm willing to release and ready to, but I have to be patient. And so I think that patience is important for all of us. And Aries, I do think, because I hear Kelly share these things on a regular basis. And I think that just because we're in a season where we need to be especially patient. That doesn't mean that you're not ready for change. It just means that, in a lot of cases, it's taken 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years to create these patterns and to create the life and the reality that we're living in. And so as you release, be grateful for be grateful for what you're releasing and how it served you in your life, or the lessons it's taught you up until now, and be ready to welcome in the new and be patient while calling in the new. Thank you very much for joining us, everyone. I see that we have some people who are signing off, letting go of toxic people and behaviors. Yes. Okay. So people are letting go. Now we're moving into step 5. And step 5, this is the last step of our equinox exercise, and then I'm going to share a few tips. But for step 5, this is where we move into dreaming. And so step 4 was about releasing, and what are you letting go of? And we want to release and we want to let go of things so that we can create more space and more room for what we want to create in our life and for what we want to call in. And so what do you want to call into your life in place of what you're releasing today? I want you to think big and really truly believe that anything is possible, and this is where we get to go into the Walt Disney dreamer mode. I think that children are so great at dreaming and of being creative. And so let your inner child, let your dreamer come out right now. What do you want to create in your life? What are some of the dreams? And so let's see and share them. Share them in the comments. Self-love. Yes, self-love. I'll say that I want to create love in my life, a really healthy, loving, aligned relationship. And it's funny because sharing that, it's like, it feels almost a little vulnerable, but it's also exciting to claim what we want and what we want to create in our life and what we want to build. And so what are those big dreams? And again, it's funny because sometimes dreaming big is more challenging for us than we recognize. But being able to connect with your dreams and declare them and share what you're dreaming of, it's powerful. And so use this as an opportunity. This is a safe space. This is an incredible community. And really, probably a community full of a lot of strangers. And sometimes it can be easier to really share what we desire and share our big dreams with strangers. So use this space and this opportunity right now to declare what you want to create in your life. Yes, I see healthy and loving boundaries. I think boundaries are something we should all want and spend time and energy on building. Greater self-belief, calling in abundance of money, which comes to me easily and quickly. I love that. I want to create prosperity and love and abundance. I see vulnerability is everything for healing. It really is. More abundance. I want to get my degrees and a new job, buy a new house, a job that connects with my soul, believing that I am worthy, my true soul path with love and magic, a job, prosperity, love for self, to exercise, get back into the gym and feel good about myself, claim it. I am worthy of all abundance and love and joy. And so for everyone tuning in, we are doing an equinox exercise, and we are on the final step. We're on step 5 of this equinox exercise. And if you're tuning in, you can just jump right in and you can dream big with us, because step 5 is about dreaming big. It is about identifying what's important to you. It's about identifying what you want to create in your life. So often we know what we don't want to create and what we don't want to experience, but we don't really know what we do want to create. And so it's equally important. Believing in myself, new groove, conscious relationships. All right. And so as we come to the end of this special equinox event today and this exercise, I'm going to just share a few tips to really make this ritual and this exercise that we just walked through the most effective. And so if you're just joining us, this is going to be saved on the numerologist.com Facebook page. So make sure that you tune in and watch this video. Kelly Fox, the professional astrologer, was with us today, and she was sharing what each sun sign can expect with this equinox. And again, it's either the fall equinox or the spring equinox, depending on where you live in the world. And right now, to really just finalize this exercise and this ritual, I'm going to share a few tips and additional things you can do to make this even more powerful. So when Kelly was on here, she shared that she does candle, she does a very simple candle ritual. And she lights a candle, and she lights this candle and focuses on the intention that she wants to create and what she wants to bring into her life. And what we've just done is we've reflected on the wins, on the challenges, we've let go, and now we're focusing on what we want to create. So this is the intention. And so if you choose to use a candle to focus on your intentions, there are different types of candles. There are different types of candles in different colors. And a question from earlier on today asked, what color should I use? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through the different colors of candles. And so a white candle can be used if you're seeking protection and healing, cleansing, and blessing. And this is really, you want to use a white candle if you want to call those things into your life. And you can use it to bring more positive energy into your life. A yellow candle. And so you can light a yellow candle and use a yellow candle for intention. If you have the intention to bring in more creativity, to improve your communication. And this is, again, a really great candle to use for all positive things associated with the mind. So this means that it increases mental clarity, and it's good for meditation. If you use a pink candles are great if you have the intention for romance, for more friendships or deeper friendships, for more happiness. It's the ultimate love, passion, and romance color. And it's funny because I notice I have this pink candle sitting on my desk, and it smells really nice. All right, orange candle. You can light this and use this if you have the intention of prosperity, mental agility, more creativity, stamina. And this is a really great color to help you gain control of a situation, and it can change your luck. You can light a red color or a red candle, with the intention of protection and courage and strength. Purple candle. You can light this if your intention is to have more self-power, success, independence, psychic abilities, spiritual awareness, and spiritual protection. So there's quite a bit there. Brown candles attract the color brown, so a brown candle will help you attract physical objects, remove uncertainty, attract money and customers for business. A blue, so you can light a blue candle with the intention of healing and happiness and positive changes. You can light a green candle right now if you want to call in more abundance, more luck, more prosperity, growth, success, and wealth into your life. That sounds like a good color. They all sound good, but that one really stood out. Let's see. A gold candle with the intention of bringing more prosperity, luck, and financial gain into your life. You can light a silver candle with the intention to remove negative energies in your life. And you can light a gray candle. Again, this is to remove negative energies in your life. And so I hope that was helpful. A couple other things you can do. Once you have completed these exercises, again, you might have just been answering live in the comments, but I encourage you, grab your book and journal and write it down. And so once you do that, and again, step one was reflecting. Just reflect on the past season of your life and an actual physical season. So we're just coming out of summer in the northern hemisphere, and if you're in the southern hemisphere, you're coming out of winter. And so reflect on the past few months, and then Step 2 is identify the wins. Identify the positive things that happened, and celebrate them. Step 3 is identifying your learning lessons. And what did you truly learn from them? Because we all go through difficult things. We learn from difficult things. We learn from positive things. So identifying your learning lessons. Step 4 is about releasing. So getting really clear on what you're ready to release and let go of in your life. And step 5 is about dreaming big and getting really clear about what you want to call into your life. So if you haven't already done so, write it down, and then do you know what you can do? You can burn it. And so burning this is when you burn something, there's fire rituals. So one, be careful, be safe, please. Use common sense. Have a fireproof bowl or do this in a fire pit. Don't go, we want to be very responsible here. But you want to release. And so once you get clear, again, this is just another way to release the energy to transform into the next phase. And so you can also just rip it up. Ripping up is a really, it feels good too. You can just rip it up. That can help you release, and that can help you to create space for what you're calling in. You can also share what you want to create in your life with a friend. Or again, you can continue to share this, share with this community, share in these comments. Use this as an opportunity to give a voice to what you want to create in your life. And I also encourage you to keep a journal and continue this practice of tuning in and self-awareness. And so thank you everyone for joining myself and Kelly Fox today. It was an absolutely incredible event, and I love connecting with all of you. Can you message me the winning lotto combination? I cannot, but tune in, Mark, tune in, and maybe you'll receive the answers. You can let us know. But please share this and continue. Thank you for joining us. I know Kelly's always extremely grateful for everyone who joins us on these Facebook Lives, and today was an extra special Equinox event. And so I know it's time for me to turn off and tune in, and I'm going to go and I'm going to complete my exercises now. So have a fabulous day, and I look forward to connecting with all of you again soon. Thank you.